A thud. That's the sound Bruce Lee's body made when it hit the canvas. Not a dramatic movie fall, not a choreographed stunt with hidden pads and camera angles, just thud. Meat and bone meeting canvas at high velocity. The kind of sound that makes everyone in the arena go silent for exactly 2 seconds before the chaos starts. The kind of sound that shouldn't happen to Bruce Lee. Except it just did. 28 seconds ago, Bruce Lee was standing, shirtless, confident, bouncing on the balls of his feet in that distinctive way of his. Hands up, body coiled like a spring ready to explode into action. The way he always looked. The way that made him a legend. 28 seconds ago, across the ring, stood a man who looked like he shouldn't be there. A man with only one arm. His right sleeve pinned and empty, hanging limp against a torso that looked like it was carved from granite by someone who didn't believe in smooth edges. Just muscle stacked on muscle, scar tissue and old damage, and the kind of body you get from decades of getting hit and hitting back harder. His name was Iron Mike Sullivan, former heavyweight contender, former street fighter, former Marine who lost his right arm in Vietnam and decided that missing a limb wasn't a good enough reason to stop hurting people who needed hurting. And 28 seconds ago, he told Bruce Lee exactly what was going to happen. 30 seconds, Sullivan said, his voice like gravel being crushed under a boot. That's all I need. 30 seconds, and you're sleeping. Bruce had smiled, that slight, confident smile that millions of people had seen in movie theaters. The smile that said, I know something you don't. The smile that had preceded 100 movie victories. Prove it, Bruce said. Thud. Now, Bruce Lee is on the canvas, unconscious. His head twisted at an angle that looks wrong, his body limp, one arm stretched out like he's reaching for something that isn't there. And the timer on the big screen above the ring reads 0028. 28 seconds. Sullivan had promised 30. He'd given himself a 2-second margin of error. He didn't need it. But let's back up. Because the sound of Bruce Lee hitting the canvas isn't where this story starts. It starts 6 weeks earlier, in a very different place, with a very different sound. The sound of laughter, cruel, mocking laughter, the kind that cuts deeper than fists. 6 weeks earlier, the challenge, the Wild Card Boxing Gym, Los Angeles, California. Early morning, 6 a.m., the time when only serious people are training. The air smells like sweat, leather, and liniment. The sound of speed bags rattling, heavy bags thudding, fighters grunting and trainers shouting corrections. This is where real fighters train, not movie stars, not martial artists doing forms and breaking boards. Real fighters who hit and get hit and do it again tomorrow. Bruce Lee walks in. He's wearing simple black training clothes, carrying his own hand wraps, looking curious and respectful. He's been studying Western boxing for months, incorporating it into his Jeet Kune Do system, and he's heard this gym is where the best work gets done. He wants to learn, to absorb, to improve. That's always been his way. Take what works, discard what doesn't. He approaches the ring where a fighter is working the heavy bag. Powerful, rhythmic strikes. Left, left, right, left, left, right. Perfect form, perfect timing. Bruce watches, impressed. The fighter stops, turns. Bruce sees it then. The empty right sleeve. The fighter only has one arm, but the heavy bag is swinging like it's been hit by a sledgehammer. Can I help you? The fighter asks. His voice isn't friendly. It's not hostile either, just flat. The voice of someone who has answered a million stupid questions and doesn't have patience for 1,000,001. "I'm Bruce Lee," Bruce says, extending his hand. "I train martial arts, but I'm always looking to learn from boxers. Your technique is impressive." The fighter doesn't shake Bruce's hand, just looks at it, then looks at Bruce's face. "I know who you are," he says. "You're the kung fu movie guy, Kato from that TV show. My kid likes your movies." "Thank you," Bruce says, lowering his hand. "And you are?" "Sullivan, Mike Sullivan. Used to fight heavyweight. Now I train people who actually fight instead of pretending to fight on camera." The words hang in the air. Other fighters in the gym have stopped their training. Everyone's watching now. Everyone knows Sullivan. Everyone knows his story. Lost his arm in Da Nang. Came back. Started fighting in underground matches because no boxing commission would license a one-armed fighter. Built a reputation as the most dangerous man in Los Angeles. Not despite having one arm. Because of it. Because when you only have one arm, you make that arm into a weapon so devastating that nobody wants to face it. Bruce keeps his composure. "I don't pretend. I train every day. I spar. I study. You spar with martial artists," Sullivan interrupts. "You do your little demonstrations. You break boards and do fancy kicks for cameras. But you ain't never been in a real fight. Not a fight where someone's trying to actually hurt you. To put you in the hospital. To take something from you that you can't get back." Bruce's jaw tightens slightly. "You don't know what I've done or haven't done." "I know you're famous for fighting in movies," Sullivan says. "I know people think you're some kind of god, some unbeatable master. And I know that's bullshit. Because if you were real, you'd be in a real ring, with real fighters, not on a movie set, with choreography and stunt coordinators." The gym is completely silent now. The only sound is the rhythmic tick, tick, tick of a speed bag someone forgot to stop. Bruce takes a deep breath. He should walk away. He knows he should walk away. This is ego talking. This is someone trying to provoke him. Someone bitter about their own circumstances taking it out on him. He should be compassionate, understanding, the wise master who doesn't need to prove anything. But there's something in Sullivan's eyes. Something that isn't just bitterness. It's challenge. Raw, genuine challenge. And Bruce Lee has never walked away from a challenge in his life. "You want to test that theory?" Bruce asks quietly. Sullivan smiles. It's not a pleasant smile. "Yeah, I do. You and me. In the ring, real fight. No rules, no rounds. No stopping until someone can't continue. And just so you don't waste my time, let's make it interesting. I'll finish you in 30 seconds. If I don't, you win. You get to leave here with your reputation intact. But if I do knock you out in 30 seconds, you admit publicly that movie fighting isn't real fighting. That you've been selling a fantasy. Deal?" Every trainer, every fighter, every person in the wildcard gym knows this is a terrible idea. Freddie Roach, the legendary trainer, steps forward. "Mike, come on, don't do this. The guy just came to train. Leave it alone." But Bruce is already nodding. "Deal. When and where?" 6 weeks, Sullivan says. "Gives you time to train. Gives promoters time to set it up properly. Make it a real event. Pay-per-view. Let the world watch. Let them see what happens when Hollywood meets reality." 2 weeks, Bruce agrees. They don't shake hands. Sullivan just nods and goes back to the heavy bag. Left, left, right, left, left, right. Each strike sounds like thunder. Bruce watches for a moment, then turns and walks out of the gym. Behind him, he hears the laughter starting. Quiet at first, then building. The fighters laughing at the movie star who just made the biggest mistake of his life. Outside in the bright California morning, Bruce sits in his car for 5 minutes before starting the engine. His hands are shaking slightly, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the realization of what he's just agreed to. He's going to fight a one-armed heavyweight boxer who genuinely wants to hurt him. In front of the world, with his entire reputation on the line. And he has 6 weeks to prepare. The training camp. Bruce Lee has trained for many things: movies, demonstrations, philosophy, the perfection of movement. But he's never trained for this, for a fight against someone who doesn't care about looking good, or preserving the art, or teaching a lesson. Someone who just wants to win, to dominate, to prove a point with violence. He brings in boxing trainers, real ones. They watch footage of Sullivan's underground fights, grainy, illegal footage shot on handheld cameras in warehouses and parking lots. Sullivan fighting men with 2 arms, bigger men, stronger men, and destroying them. His left arm isn't just powerful, it's educated. Decades of fighting have turned it into something more than a limb. It's a weapon system. He can throw hooks from angles that shouldn't work, uppercuts that come out of nowhere, straight punches with the force of a car crash, and his footwork is perfect. He doesn't fight like a man with a disability. He fights like a man who has weaponized asymmetry. You can't match his power, one trainer tells Bruce honestly. You're 5'7", 140 pounds. He's 6'2", 220. One of his punches lands clean. It's over. Your only chance is speed and movement. Stay outside. Don't let him set his feet. Don't trade with him. But Bruce has never fought defensively in his life. His entire philosophy is about attacking, about interception, about meeting force with force at the perfect moment. I can't just run from him for 30 seconds, Bruce says. That's not fighting. That's surviving. Then you're going to get knocked out, the trainer says simply, because you can't hurt him. Not enough. Not in 30 seconds. He's going to walk through whatever you throw and land something heavy. And when he does, it's over. Bruce trains anyway. He trains harder than he's ever trained. 6 hours a day, sparring with professional boxers who are under strict instructions to try to knock him out, learning to slip punches, to roll with impact, to move his head. His body adapts, gets harder, faster. His boxing improves dramatically. But everyone watching knows the truth. 6 weeks isn't enough. You can't learn in 6 weeks what Sullivan has spent 20 years perfecting. You can't overcome a 80-pound weight difference and a reach advantage, and the kind of devastating power that comes from a lifetime of fighting bigger, stronger opponents. But Bruce Lee doesn't train to win. He trains because that's what he does. Because giving up isn't in his vocabulary. Because even if he's going to lose, he's going to lose as well as humanly possible. 3 days before the fight, his wife Linda asks him if he's scared. Terrified, Bruce admits. It's the first time he's said it out loud. Then don't do it, Linda says. Cancel. Tell them you're injured. Tell them anything. You don't have to prove yourself to these people. Yes, I do, Bruce says quietly. Because if I don't, if I back out, then everything Sullivan said is true. That I'm just a movie star. That I've been selling a fantasy. I have to show up. I have to try, even if I lose. And if he really does knock you out in 30 seconds? Then I was wrong, Bruce says, and I'll say so, publicly, because being wrong is better than being a coward. Fight. Night. Las Vegas, Nevada. The arena is packed. 15,000 people. Pay-per-view cameras broadcasting to millions more. This isn't a sanctioned fight. No boxing commission would approve it. But Nevada has always had a flexible relationship with rules when money is involved. And there's a lot of money involved. The betting lines are insane. Bruce Lee is the favorite, somehow. The movie star. The legend. The man who can do impossible things on screen. People believe in him. They've seen him kick and punch and move like water. They think that's real. Sullivan enters first. No music. No fanfare. Just walks to the ring in a simple black robe with one arm. The crowd boos. They don't like him. He's the villain in this story. The bitter cripple trying to tear down the hero. He doesn't care. He climbs into the ring, drops the robe. His body is a roadmap of damage. Scars, old fractures, knots of scar tissue. The empty sleeve where his right arm should be. He looks like war. Bruce enters to kung fu fighting. It's meant to be empowering. It sounds ridiculous. He's shirtless, wearing black fighting trunks. His body lean and defined and looking tiny compared to Sullivan. He climbs into the ring, bounces on his toes, does a few warm-up movements. The crowd cheers. They believe in him. They want him to win. They need him to win. Because if Bruce Lee can't beat a one-armed man, then what does that say about everything they've believed in? The referee calls them to center ring. This is an exhibition match, he says, though everyone knows that's a legal fiction. Fight until I stop it, or someone can't continue. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves if you want. Sullivan extends his left fist. Bruce touches it with his right. They stand there for a moment, eye to eye. 30 seconds, Sullivan says again. That's all I need. Prove it, Bruce says again. They return to their corners. The bell rings. Sullivan walks forward immediately, not rushing, not charging, just walking, purposeful, inevitable, like a glacier. Bruce circles left, away from the power arm, stays light on his feet, bounces, looks for angles. Sullivan adjusts, cuts off the ring. He's fought speed before. He knows how to deal with it. Bruce throws a jab, fast, precise, hits Sullivan in the face. Sullivan doesn't react, just keeps walking. Bruce throws another, 3, 4, 5 jabs, all landing, all clean. Sullivan's face is reddening, but he doesn't stop, doesn't slow, just keeps walking forward. 10 seconds have passed. Bruce tries a kick, low kick to Sullivan's lead leg. It lands hard. Sullivan grunts, takes another step forward. Bruce kicks again. Sullivan catches it. With his one arm, he catches Bruce's leg and yanks hard. Bruce hops, off balance. Sullivan steps in. Bruce sees it coming. The left hook, coming from the side. All of Sullivan's body weight behind it. Bruce tries to pull back, tries to create distance, but Sullivan has his leg. There's nowhere to go. Crack! Sullivan's left fist connects with Bruce Lee's jaw. Not the chin. The jaw. The hinge where bone meets bone. The place where a punch doesn't just hurt. It short-circuits the nervous system. Bruce's head snaps violently to the right. His eyes lose focus. His legs go loose. The leg Sullivan was holding drops. Bruce doesn't fall forward, doesn't fall backward, just sort of collapses. straight down, like someone cut his strings. Thud. Bruce Lee is on the canvas, not moving, not responding, just lying there, unconscious. The referee doesn't count, doesn't need to. He waves his arms, calling for medical staff. The fight is over. The timer reads 00:28. Sullivan doesn't celebrate, doesn't raise his arm in victory, just looks down at Bruce for a moment, then walks to his corner. "Told you," he says to nobody in particular. 30 seconds. The crowd is silent, shocked. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the script. The hero was supposed to overcome, to prove that size doesn't matter, that technique beats power, that the human spirit can overcome any obstacle. But reality doesn't care about scripts. And in reality, a 220-pound professional fighter with decades of experience and devastating power just knocked out a 140-pound martial artist in 28 seconds. Exactly like he said he would. Aftermath. Bruce Lee regains consciousness 30 seconds later. His jaw is already swelling. His head feels like it's been split open. The arena medical staff is checking him, shining lights in his eyes, asking him questions. "Do you know where you are?" "Las Vegas," Bruce mumbles through the swelling. "Do you know what happened?" "I got knocked out." He sits up slowly, sees Sullivan in the opposite corner, being interviewed. Here's the question. "Did you know you'd win that fast?" "Yeah," Sullivan says simply. "I told him 30 seconds, gave him fair warning. He didn't believe me. Now he knows." Bruce stands, waves off the medical staff, walks across the ring. The crowd sees him coming, starts to murmur, expecting something. Confrontation, excuses, anger. Bruce reaches Sullivan, extends his hand. Sullivan looks at it, looks at Bruce's swollen face, takes the hand. "You were right," Bruce says clearly, loud enough for the microphones to catch. "Movie fighting isn't real fighting. I've been good at one thing and thought that made me good at everything. You taught me different. Thank you." Sullivan nods. "You showed up. That counts for something. Most people would have made an excuse. You showed up and took your beating like a man. Respect for that." They shake hands. The crowd doesn't know how to react. This wasn't the ending they wanted. The hero didn't win, didn't get revenge, didn't prove anything except that he was wrong. But there's something else in this moment, something real. Two men who tested each other, who put themselves on the line, who respected the outcome. That's more real than any movie Bruce has ever made. 6 months later, Bruce Lee's jaw healed. The swelling went down. The bruising faded. The damage to his ego took longer. He didn't make any movies for 6 months, turned down projects, told producers he was re-evaluating. The truth was simpler. He was learning. He went back to boxing gyms, not as the famous Bruce Lee, just as a student. He told trainers, "Teach me like I don't know anything, because I don't." He sparred with professionals, got hit, got knocked down, got up, learned the difference between martial arts and fighting, between demonstration and desperation, between looking good and surviving. He found Sullivan again, at the wildcard gym, working the heavy bag. Same as always. Left, right. "Can I train with you?" Bruce asked. Sullivan looked at him for a long moment. "You serious? After what I did to you?" "Especially because of what you did to me. You showed me what I didn't know. Now I want to learn it." Sullivan nodded slowly. "All right, but I train my way. No movie shit. No philosophy, just fighting. You good with that? I'm good with that. They trained together for a year, Sullivan teaching Bruce the brutal economics of real fighting. How to take punishment, how to deliver it, how to fight when you're hurt, scared, exhausted. How to be real. Bruce taught Sullivan some things too. Flexibility, speed, different angles of attack. It was mutual, respectful, two men learning from each other. A year after the knockout, they did a rematch. Same venue, same rules. This time, Bruce lasted 3 minutes. Sullivan still won. But it was a fight. A real fight. Bruce landed some good shots, made Sullivan work, showed that he'd learned. After, they sat in the locker room together, both bruised, both tired, both satisfied. "You're a real fighter now," Sullivan said. "Not just a movie star. That's worth something." "I was a fake before?" Bruce asked. "Nah," Sullivan said. "You were real at what you did. Movies, demonstrations, that's all real, but it's not fighting. Now you know both. That makes you complete." Bruce thought about that. "You know what's funny? Before our first fight, I thought I knew everything. Thought I was a master. Now I know how little I actually knew. And somehow I feel better, more honest." "That's called wisdom," Sullivan said. "Only comes from getting your ass kicked and admitting it." They both laughed, the kind of laugh that only comes from shared pain, shared respect, shared truth. Bruce Lee never forgot that lesson, never forgot the sound of hitting the canvas, never forgot that thud that echoed through his ego and broke something that needed breaking. Years later, when people asked him about the Sullivan fight, Bruce was honest. "I got knocked out in 28 seconds, exactly like he said I would. It was the most important fight of my life, not because I won, but because I lost. And I learned who I really was." The footage of that knockout still exists. Grainy pay-per-view recording, 28 seconds of Bruce Lee learning humility the hard way. Sometimes film students watch it and ask why Bruce Lee would agree to such an obvious mismatch. The answer is simple. Because that's what real martial artists do. They test themselves. They find their limits. They break through or they break down. And either way, they learn. Bruce Lee got knocked out in 28 seconds, but he got up. He learned. He grew. And in the end, that thud on the canvas wasn't the sound of defeat. It was the sound of ego breaking, of illusion shattering, of truth arriving like a left hook you never saw coming. That's the real fight, not the one in the ring, the one inside yourself. And Bruce Lee, knocked unconscious in 28 seconds, finally won it. The story became legend in boxing circles. The night Bruce Lee showed up, the night he got knocked out in 28 seconds by a one-armed heavyweight. The night humility came in the form of a left hook. And the year after, when Bruce came back as a student instead of a master. That part of the story matters more than the knockout. Because anyone can get knocked out, but not everyone can get knocked out, admit they were wrong, and come back to learn from the person who beat them. That takes a different kind of courage. The kind that doesn't fit in movies. The kind that's real.